The house was quiet that night except for the sound of rain tapping softly against the window. Emily Parker had been living with her stepfather, Daniel Miller, for almost a year now. After her mother passed away unexpectedly, Daniel had become the only guardian she had left. At first, Emily wasn't sure how she felt about him. He wasn't her biological father, and grief had built walls around her heart. But over time, she began to notice that Daniel wasn't the kind of man who tried to replace her dad. Instead, he was careful, patient, and always there when she needed someone. Emily was 17, almost an adult, but still very much learning how to carry the weight of loss. She often locked herself away in her room, writing in her journals or scrolling through old photographs of her mom. That particular night, she had fallen asleep in her shirt and shorts, too tired to change properly. The sound of thunder woke her, and she realized she had left her lamp on. She groaned, rubbing her eyes, and sat up slowly. She didn't know that Daniel had been passing by her door just then. He had a habit of checking on her, even if she didn't always realize it. After her mother's death, he had promised to look after Emily like she was his own. Sometimes that meant making sure she ate dinner, sometimes it meant reminding her not to stay up too late on her phone, and sometimes, like tonight, it meant quietly checking if she was okay. When he heard her stirring, he gently knocked before opening the door. Emily was startled at first. She was sitting up on her bed in just her oversized shirt, hair messy, eyes squinting from the sudden light that spilled in from the hallway. "Daniel?" she asked, voice groggy. "Sorry, Em," he said softly. "I heard you moving. Just wanted to check if you were all right. The storm's getting bad." She sighed, rubbing her temples. "Yeah, I forgot to turn off the lamp. I woke up when the thunder hit." Daniel stepped inside cautiously, keeping his eyes respectful. He wasn't the type to invade her space without reason. He glanced at the lamp and then back at her. "Want me to switch it off for you?" he asked. Emily nodded, pulling her blanket up higher. For a moment, she felt embarrassed about how she must have looked, but there was nothing in Daniel's face but genuine concern. He turned off the lamp, leaving only the glow of lightning flashing through the curtains. "Do you want me to stay until the storm calms down?" he asked, noticing the way she tightened the blanket around herself. Emily hesitated. Part of her wanted to say no, to insist she was fine. But the truth was, storms had scared her ever since she was little. Her mom used to sit by her bed and hold her hand until the thunder passed. Now that her mom was gone, the silence of those nights sometimes felt unbearable. She nodded faintly, and Daniel sat down in the chair near her desk. He didn't say much at first. He just stayed, listening to the storm with her. His presence filled the room with a quiet reassurance. After a while, Emily broke the silence. "Do you ever think about her?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. Daniel looked at her gently. "Every day," he admitted. "Your mom was. She was everything. I miss her more than words can say." Emily swallowed hard. "Me too." They sat there together, sharing the weight of grief. For the first time in a long while, Emily felt like someone truly understood. Daniel didn't try to tell her to move on, didn't try to change the subject. He just let the sadness exist between them, and somehow that made it easier to bear. The storm outside raged on, but inside the room, Emily felt a strange sense of safety. She realized that Daniel wasn't just her stepfather, he had become a steady presence she could lean on. She pulled her blanket tighter and whispered, "Thanks for staying." Daniel gave a small smile. "Always, kiddo. You're not alone." That night, something shifted between them, not in a way that broke boundaries, but in a way that built trust. Emily began to see him not just as the man her mom had married, but as someone who had chosen to care for her when he could have easily walked away. And Daniel realized that Emily, despite her quiet walls, was slowly letting him into her world. What followed over the next weeks was a series of small but meaningful changes. Emily started joining Daniel for dinner instead of eating alone in her room. They began watching old movies together, the kind her mom used to love. On weekends, he took her out for drives, showing her places he thought she'd enjoy. One afternoon, while cleaning out the garage, they found an old box of photo albums. Emily hesitated to open it, but Daniel encouraged her gently. Inside were pictures of her mother smiling at the beach, cooking in the kitchen, holding Emily as a baby. They spent hours flipping through them, sharing stories and laughter mixed with tears. It was painful, but healing. Through these shared moments, Emily came to realize something important. Life had taken her mother away, but it had also left her with someone who cared enough to stay. Daniel wasn't trying to replace her mom or her dad. He was simply there, and sometimes, that was all a person needed. The memory of that stormy night remained with her. She would always remember the moment her stepfather walked into her room, not as an invasion, but as a sign that she wasn't alone. It became a turning point in their relationship, marking the beginning of trust, healing, and family in a new form. And though the storms would come and go, Emily knew she had someone by her side who would always be there when the thunder rolled in.